The night sky descended, enveloping the magnificent Gothic architecture. Warm light spilled from countless windows, illuminating the vast cobblestone square, still echoing with the lingering bustle of the crowd. As Shirone and his friends emerged from the building, the aftershocks of an unusual event still lingered. People around them asked each other, "What was that tremor just now? An earthquake?" Just as the group was about to leave, a youthful but urgent voice cut through the air. "Wait!" From the front, Giss, the pickpocket from the port, ran up to block their path. He stood there breathless, his face tense. Rian squinted in recognition. "Isn't that kid?" Shirone remained silent, his clear blue eyes calmly observing the boy. Amy stepped forward, her voice gentle and reassuring. "You're safe now. I'll make sure they can't do anything to hurt you or your sister." Her promise seemed to push Giss to his breaking point. The boy's face contorted, his eyes filled with intense emotion. He clenched his fists, roaring with all his might. I'll quit this job, like you said. So, I just wanted to say thank you for helping." The unexpected gratitude left Shirone slightly bewildered, while Amy smiled softly with satisfaction. But then Giss suddenly turned. He pointed directly at Shirone, who was still stunned, and shouted, "And you too!"
Giss yelled, his face flushed with anger. "Don't make her cry! I'll never forgive you! You better watch out!" Shirone was completely bewildered by the sudden accusation, cold sweat breaking out on his forehead. "I made Amy cry?" he muttered in confusion. Standing beside him, Amy couldn't help but laugh at the ironic situation, crossing her arms and teasing, "Ha ha ha! Did you hear that, Shirone? Be careful!" Then she turned to face Giss, her eyes becoming a little more serious. "Your name is Giss, right?" Under the sparkling nightlights of the port city, Amy's red hair blazed like a warm flame. She looked directly at the boy with a gentle smile, her voice full of encouragement. "Whether you become a pirate or the lord of the port, I'm sure you'll be able to become whoever you want. Good luck." Giss stared blankly at her, his face flushed, his heart pounding wildly at the sincere encouragement. He stood frozen in place, watching Amy and Shirone's backs as they turned to leave. As they faded from view, the boy clenched his fist, a fierce determination rising in his heart. "Just you wait," Giss told himself silently. "I'll definitely become way cooler than that guy." Meanwhile, the group was walking down the empty street. Ryan yawned widely, wearily complaining, "Should we go eat now? I'm so hungry." Elzine gently suggested, "How about we find something to eat near our place?" Amy nodded in agreement. "Yeah, I don't think we can cook today." Only Shirone remained silent, still lost in thought about the strange encounter they'd just had.
In his haste to leave the chaotic scene, Rian couldn't help but laugh as he looked at Elzine. He teased, "Tess, how long are you planning on carrying that stick around for?" Elzine startled and yelped, "Ah!" then clumsily threw the piece of wood to the ground. Meanwhile, at the devastated hideout, the air was thick with defeat. Dust fell lightly from the gaping cracks in the ceiling. In the center of the room, a deep hole, cracked like the mouth of an abyss, was evidence of the terrifying power that had just swept through the place. Sitting on the only intact armchair, Palcoa let out a weak, twisted laugh. "Kek, kek, 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 kek. Has the great Palcoa really been defeated this badly?" he muttered bitterly, his ring-laden hand clenching tightly. The one once known as the Phantom of the battlefield, lost to a bunch of kids? His breathing became heavy. Palcoa pulled out a handkerchief to wipe the sweat from his forehead, and then suddenly rage erupted. He turned to the subordinates, sitting slumped on the floor, roaring, "Gah! Aren't you ashamed? We lost to those brats because you all just lazed around all day." The guards cowered, still in shock. One of them clutched his head, his voice trembling. "But I've never seen magic like that. It wouldn't be fun to get hit by that, and there was nowhere to dodge." "Ugh!" Palcoa groaned in despair, burying his face in his hands. At that moment, one of the close guards approached. "Are you really gonna let them go that easily?" Palcoa raised his head, his eyes revealing fatigue and resignation. "What do you want me to do? She's a first-class noble, second only to royalty. Huh? If we mess with them, this entire enterprise could collapse. Do you know how hard it was to get get where we are today?" The subordinate was not swayed by his boss's reasoning. He leaned in, getting close to Palcoa, his eyes sharp and full of hidden meaning. "Have you forgotten? There are things more terrifying than losing money."
The guard approached Palcoa, his voice trembling with fear. He anxiously reported, "We're the Parrot Gang, and the Magic Association is hunting us relentlessly. What if they find this place?" Palcoa, who had been resting with his eyes closed, slowly opened them. His expression remained terrifyingly calm, seemingly unconcerned about the imminent danger. He coldly replied, "I understand. Now bring me some loot. This headache is killing me." He then devoured the roots to satisfy his addiction. The whole room shook. The guard from before screamed in terror, "Boss!" Meanwhile, in a completely different place, the scene was strikingly contrasting. The sky was clear and vast, the sun shining brightly on the sparkling sea. White-crested waves gently lapped at the fine white sand, creating a peaceful and beautiful scene. As for Shirone and his friends, they had returned safely and started playing on the beach. The two girlfriends were wearing very sexy and beautiful bikinis.
Under the bright sunlight of the beautiful beach, Shirone playfully used magic to create a pillar of water, sending white foam into the air. The sudden coolness of the water startled Amy, but his cheerful smile quickly spread to her. After hours of unrestrained fun, the group headed to a seaside restaurant to fill their hungry stomachs. Amidst the lively atmosphere and the cool sea breeze, Ryan was the most enthusiastic, his cheeks bulging as he stuffed himself with bread and grilled meat, looking utterly satisfied. As night fell, leaving a full round moon suspended in the sky, the festival atmosphere on the island became even more lively. They strolled together under the coconut trees and the warm yellow lights of the night market. While Ryan and Elzane enjoyed dessert, Amy, graceful in her white dress, her red hair glowing under the lights, approached Shirone. She held out 2 fragrant skewers of grilled squid to him, her eyes shining with tenderness. Shirone smiled softly, his eyes filled with warmth as he looked at her. In that peaceful moment, a feeling of pure happiness crept into his heart. So this is what a vacation feels like. Suddenly, explosions rang out. Ryan cheered excitedly, pointing to the sky. Brilliant fireworks of dazzling colors burst, painting sparkling streaks across the night sky. All 4 of them looked up, their faces lit up with amazement and joy, sharing a magical moment that concluded a perfect day.
Under the night sky ablaze with magnificent bursts of fireworks, Shirone stood quietly among his friends, secretly thinking that one day he would bring his parents here to admire this wonderful sight. The next day, bright sunlight shone across a lush green land. The clatter of wheels echoed rhythmically as a luxurious carriage traveled along the dirt road through the dense forest. Inside the carriage, the atmosphere was somewhat tense. Ryan crossed his arms, his face sullen, clearly showing his displeasure. Sitting opposite him, Elzine nonchalantly applied lipstick while complaining. Honestly, how long are you two going to sulk for? We weren't even that late." Ryan immediately snapped. "Why did it take you girls so long to get ready? Now we won't get there until noon." The carriage continued on its way. Elzine was not to be outdone. She retorted, "What? We only did it because we wanted what's best for you. Look at your outfit. Do you really think that sword goes with what you're wearing, you ancient man?" "What?" Ryan exclaimed, stunned. While the argument continued, Shirone sat silently with a knowing smile. He thought to himself, "I was just planning to go with Amy to explore the ruins."
On the gently rolling carriage passing through a road shaded with cool green trees, Shirone pondered their relationship, which had become so close that they were inseparable. Just then, Amy and Elzine boarded the carriage. With a playful smile, Amy spoke first. "Sorry, Ryan, Tess was ready even before I was." Hearing that, Elzine could only utter an embarrassed, "Oh, Amy!" Ryan glanced at the 2 girls and blurted out, "Well, it's clear Amy put a lot of effort into getting ready." Immediately, Elzine puffed out her cheeks, looking angry. "What, are you saying I'm not pretty?" Ryan was startled, cold sweat breaking out on his forehead, and he stammered, "You're very pretty, but—" The sudden compliment stunned Elzine. Her cheeks flushed red and her eyes widened in surprise. "Huh?" She seemed unable to believe her ears, stammering back, "I'm pretty?
Then she gave a meaningful smile. "Oh ho, Rian." Amy quietly observed, thinking to herself, "It seems he has feelings for Tess, he just doesn't know how to express them. It's understandable. It must be hard to confess to a woman stronger than him." Meanwhile, Elzine, her face still flushed red, quickly cleared her throat and crossed her arms, trying to appear calm. Noticing Amy staring intently at the two of them with a thoughtful expression, Shirone, sitting beside her, turned slightly, his eyes gleaming with curiosity. Amy also looked back at him, placing a finger on her chin, humming softly, still lost in her own thoughts.
From inside the car, Amy gazed pensively at the distant mountain range, thinking to herself, "Is the problem there? But I thought I'd narrowed the gap considerably." Sitting opposite her, Elzine smiled mischievously at her friend's expression. "Amy's thinking weird things again," she thought. "How cute." The journey lasted about 2 hours, bringing the group to the Kergo Ruins. This place is located in the center of Galleon Island, a site steeped in tragic history. 500 years ago, Mount Toa had a terrifying eruption, burying the entire glorious Kergo civilization in ash. Therefore, it is believed that what remains today is only a small fragment of a lost golden age. Standing before the vast ruins, where ancient stone structures mingled with the bustling crowd, Amy flipped through the guidebook and explained. The Galleon Island administration once proposed a plan to restore the entire ruin, but the plan was scrapped due to opposition from local residents. Elzine, fanning herself with a hand fan to cool down, asked curiously, "Huh? Wouldn't restoring the ruins be a good thing for the people here?" Amy nodded in agreement. "You're right. They could have increased tourism revenue because of it." Walking behind, Ryan squinted as he observed the crowd and the ancient structures, blurting out, "I wonder if there are any secrets here." Shirone calmly replied while her eyes were still scanning the surroundings, "But to me, it just looks like a normal tourist spot, although it's quite large." Amidst the murmur of tourists, the group continued to venture deeper into the ancient ruins.
Amidst a bustling crowd visiting the ancient ruins, Elzine suddenly gasped, her hand with a fan pointing forward excitedly. "Huh, look, isn't that person from Kergo?" The group followed her gaze. A tall, muscular man with tan skin, braided hair, and impressive red tribal tattoos stood out in the crowd. Amy exclaimed in awe, "Wow, you're right." The four stopped, silently observing the stranger with varying reactions. Elzine and Amy were curious. Ryan seemed wary. Shirone, with his calm blue eyes, saw something else entirely. "I can feel it," he thought to himself, his gaze becoming intensely focused. "This person is strong." The burly man seemed to sense their gaze, glancing over with a mysterious look. The magnificent side of the Kergo Temple on Galleon Island unfolded before them. Giant stone structures, stained with the passage of time, rose majestically into the sky. Ryan exclaimed, overwhelmed, "I can't believe these structures were built thousands of years ago." Elzine, gazing at the ancient stone bridge spanning a deep chasm, explained, "From what I overheard from other tourists, it was originally much larger than this, but most of it was buried in ashes." "Well, look at this," Amy marveled as the group walked along the paved path. Indeed, the chasm below looked terrifyingly deep. Other tourists were also gathered on the railing, chattering amongst themselves. "It's so deep. I bet it's hundreds of meters deep. Don't stand there, it's dangerous."
Suddenly, Amy noticed Shirone had stopped behind her. She turned around, a hint of worry in her eyes. "Shirone, what's wrong? Aren't you going to see the central temple?" Without answering immediately, Shirone suddenly squatted down, supporting himself with one hand on the lush green grass. His expression became incredibly focused, his eyes fixed on the ground as if searching for something. He called out softly, "Amy!" Shirone's eyes suddenly flashed with a mysterious blue light, a drop of sweat rolling down his temple. He whispered in amazement, "This is a spirit zone." The whole group immediately surrounded him. Realizing Shirone was using his special ability, Amy asked immediately, "Aha, you're using Spirit Zone Synergy Sense to investigate something." Standing next to her, Ryan was equally impatient. "What did you find?" Shirone looked up, his face still bewildered. He slowly explained, "They said these ruins were buried under ashes, right? So I tried using the Spirit Zone to probe underground. And strangely, I can't detect anything at all." Amy was stunned. Within a range of over 50 meters? Nothing? Not even rocks? Standing beside her, Elzine frowned in confusion. Why? What does that mean? Shirone shook his head, trying to express how he felt. It's not exactly nothing, but something's very wrong. Ryan crossed his arms, pondered for a moment, and made a straightforward suggestion. How about we dig it up and see? Hearing this, Amy stated decisively, let me try. She also sat down, placing her palm on the ground like Shirone. With sniper mode, I can probe as deep as 500 meters.
500 meters? Elzine exclaimed in surprise, her eyes widening as she looked at Amy. In contrast to her stunned expression, Shirone was incredibly enthusiastic, cheerfully encouraging her. Yeah, go for it. Instantly, a brilliant azure aura erupted, enveloping Amy. Her eyes flashed with an eerie light as she concentrated all her energy. Huh? Rian stared blankly at the scene, then looked at Shirone and Elzine, feeling lost amidst the tense atmosphere. Noticing the change, Shirone asked worriedly, "What's wrong?" He turned to Amy, his face full of confusion. Amy suddenly collapsed onto the lush green grass, her body trembling. She looked up, her eyes still holding traces of magical light, but now filled with panic and disbelief. "No way! This can't be true," she stammered, her voice breaking with shock. While everyone was still reeling from the shock, Rand suddenly raised a shovel with a gleeful expression. "Here's the easiest way to find out the truth."